Hi again and welcome to the Canada Credit Card Expert channel. What we're having today is Canada's top cashback with annual fee credit cards, and we actually mean cashback. Cash for cash. No points, no redemption, merchandise, gift cards, transfer to airlines, whatever. This is only cashback. So we are talking about you pay cash, you get cash. We actually got a list of four cards that we believe are actually best, and one of them would definitely work out for you, especially for those of you who definitely want the simplicity of having a cashback credit card. These are all category 4 mid 100 type of credit cards, and unlike the parallel at the category 2 no annual fee cashback credit cards, they would actually give you not only better rates of return, that means higher cashback, they would also normally give you nice insurances. Part of it is travel, part of it is other perks, and we're going to cover it today. Also, we got to remember that these accelerated categories on all these credit cards will actually have some limitations. That means a maximum spend per statement or per annum in order to actually exhaust, so to speak, the highest possible cashback returns on their spending. So we are going to cover that as well for you. Let's just start by introducing these credit cards, and that would be alphabetically. The Simply Cash Preferred Card, American Express, that is. That would be our first contender. The second one would be BMO Cashback Gold Elite MasterCard. The third one, as you see on the screen, is the CIBC Dividend Visa Infinite. And finally, Scotia Momentum Visa Infinite. The annual cost of this card would be, well, $9.99 monthly payment. In the case of American Express, that would work out to be $119.88 annually, and then $150 for the BMO one and $120 for the other two. Now, that is all reasonable, or let me put it that way, they are all pretty much the same cost. Now we are actually having the real question: what will actually work best for you, and what is that will actually work best for you? That depends on what type of spending you have and what accelerated categories you are actually looking for. Now, we are actually seeing one thing that actually common for all of them. Let's just actually put it all in one nice table for you so you can actually compare them as we actually go through the categories. So we have now these four credit cards right on the screen. Let's just fill in from the top to the bottom: 5%, 4%, 3%, 2%, and 1%. And that would actually mean all the different ratios of cashback ratios that is on your spending. At the top 5%, only the BMO Cashback Visa Infinite would actually get you 5% on groceries. Now, we do have to remember that this has some limitation, and that means per statement cycle, the 5% will be exhausted once you have actually spent $500 in this particular category. So you got to bear that in mind. After the $500 per statement, that will go down to 1%. So moving to the 4% bracket, we are talking about the American Express Preferred Cashback groceries and gas, while in the case of BMO, that would actually give you 4% on transportation and rideshare. In the case of CIBC Dividend, that will give you groceries, gas, and EV charging. And finally, the Scotiabank Momentum, 4% on groceries and recurring payments. So as you actually see, we are talking about groceries being high up there, and we already start to see some differences in terms of what would earn you more in terms of cashback. So that depends on your own personal expenditure patterns. And then 3% you'll get on gas with the BMO Cashback Visa Infinite card. And finally, 2%, well, with the American Express Preferred, you will be getting 2% on anything else whatsoever. 2% you'll also get on transit, rideshare, eating out, that is restaurants, and recurring payments with the CIBC Dividend. Another recurring payments, but 2 instead of 4% that Scotiabank would give you. And finally, with Scotiabank, 2% on gas and transit. American Express will give you a bare minimum of 2%. 2% means anything whatsoever, even once you exhausted the limits. $30,000 on gas and groceries annually. However, in the case of the other three cards, we have 1% on anything else or 1% on anything once the accelerator limitation, that is the limits on the amount of money you're allowed to spend per category or per annum or per statement, is actually being exhausted. So to sum it all up in terms of earn ratios, well, we actually think that the American Express does have a major advantage by offering a bare minimum of 2%, while at the same time, we do actually understand that some of you would actually have preference for this or that card depending on your patterns of spending. Now, let's actually move quickly to what it is that these cards are actually offering in terms of perks or insurances. Well, the BMO Cashback Visa Infinite actually offers you basic coverage road assistance with Dominion Automobile Association. However, it does not offer you what the other three would, which is mobile insurance to the tune of $1,000 on lost or accidentally damaged mobile phone. Now, the same thing works with medical insurance, emergency medical insurance while traveling. That is, you get 15 days with the American Express card and the Scotia Momentum card, 10 days with the CIBC Dividend Visa Infinite, and 8 days with the BMO Cashback. However, there is one more feature that we cannot actually forget. How are you going to figure it all out while you're actually thinking about the rewards themselves? Obviously, we get these cards to get rewards. Now, there are actually here two major things to consider. One thing is obviously the ratios, which we just enumerated, but the other is what would be the frequency of you getting the rewards. So, the American Express Cashback and the Scotiabank Momentum Visa Infinite, both of them would pay you out your rewards only once a year. American Express after the August statement, that would mean September roughly, depending on the day of your statement, and Scotiabank, again the same thing, after the December statement, so presumably around January each year. So that is once a year you will get this cashback reward deposited. In the case of Amex, it will be deposited to your credit card account. In the case of Scotiabank, it could be deposited to a Scotiabank checking or saving account. Otherwise, you can definitely have it to your Scotiabank credit card. Now, in the case of BMO Cashback Visa Infinite, you could get your rewards anytime your rewards are actually $1 or up. So that means pretty much anytime. The same works with CIBC, but CIBC would actually limit it to $25 minimum rewards in order to get your rewards out. So let's just sum it up quickly. Essentially, we have four great credit cards. At one end, we have a credit card like the American Express Cashback, which guarantees a minimum of 2%. However, at the other end, you only get your cashback rewards once a year. Well, you can actually look at another credit card, such as the BMO Cashback Visa Infinite. Maybe you don't need the mobile insurance and you're more into the road assistance element of perks. However, it does have a lot of categories. It's probably not as simple as the rest of them. But then there are limits on what you can spend. If you could live with $500, for example, per statement of groceries, well, that could work. But BMO definitely requires a little bit more investigation in terms of numbers. On the flip side, it does actually give you a cashback reward right away, pretty much any time. Scotiabank Momentum, well, that seems to be a great card for emergency medical insurance, if that is your main card. However, it pays only once annually, but it will do the trick if you have a lot of recurring payments or subscriptions, for example. And CIBC is the only one which will actually give you 4% on EV charging. So there you have it. You got the whole table out there. They're all pretty similar. We actually tend to think that the American Express overall, in terms of simplicity and minimum 2%, which is the major thing, the major feature of this card, would be slightly better, but it might actually not work for all of you since it does pay only once a year, or maybe they don't have this particular accelerators that the other would. Well, we hope that really helped you. You're more than welcome to comment right at the bottom. We're very interested to know what you have in mind when it comes to cashback credit cards, and is there any other feature that we might have actually missed just by you using one of these credit cards? Please share with comments at the bottom. Thank you, and we will be seeing you very shortly.